Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier.
Well, hello, Rob. You know, it hasn't been long since we've talked, but does it feel like it's a completely different month or something? Like, wasn't it warmer?
I know the snow changes things. The snow changes things. We're getting these snow flurries. And you know what the problem with this snow that's happening is where my main office is, we have a lot of trees, so the snow is on top of, like, all these leaves are dropping, and when you're trying to snow blow the parking lot, it's getting filled with leaves through there, so it's a little tougher for it to suck and blow at when you're trying to get rid of the snow, and so now I just realized with our property management team, I says I need the blower to blow the leaves off the parking lot almost every day. If I know it's going to snow, I got to make sure I blow those leaves off. But yeah, it does feel like a different month. It does. Things are changing. The weather's getting a little colder, but we're getting nicer temperatures now. But it's gonna be up and down. We did get spoiled with one of the best summers in years. So let's hope we don't get too much snow this year. That's all.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The leaf thing is a real, as I was shoveling the driveway, which is crazy, there's leaves mixed in with the snow.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I know.
Because there was still leaves on the trees.
I know. There's still a lot of leaves. Like there's so much still have to come down, and we're not even like I think we're gonna have leaves right till January. I think I just noticed in the parking lot this morning coming in. And I saw the parking lot was just filled with leaves. I go, okay, they're dropping. So it looks like there's an aggressiveness that's happening with these leaves being dropped from the trees. So so people are going to be having a lot of raking to do in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's all going to melt. It's all going to be gone, and then we'll get it again. But we're here to talk about real estate, Rob, and we love when you bring us stories from the field. And you've got one here. You've got a seller,
Yeah,
and he needs to sell, but not everybody in the household's on board.
No, so I got a call from this mortgage broker, and he said, Rob, this guy needs to sell these properties. And so I said, no problem. And then he said he needs to sell these. So I looked at the property that he wanted to sell, the first one. One is in Brampton, one is locally in Niagara. And he said, I need to get $750 for it. And I told him, I said, it's probably worth $650, maybe less. And he goes, well, I can't have that. And his wife does not want to move. He needs to move. He needs to sell both of them to get out of debt. Otherwise, he's going to eventually lose both properties. And he's being stubborn, and I think his wife's being stubborn. And he goes, my wife doesn't want to move. I go, you may not have a choice. I go, you have a chance to save your credit rating and save yourself from losing both houses and just get them sold. And so he said to me, he asked me, so I kind of, said, here's the options. He calls me like a week and a half, 2 weeks later. And he says, aren't you going to, I said, no. I go, first of all, the one property, your mortgage is bigger than the value. And I says, your personal residence has some equity that will save you. You're probably going to end up with hardly any money at the end, but at least you're not going to have to go bankrupt or lose the house the properties to the banks. And you'll have a chance to still buy a house down the road. He's a vice principal of a school in Brampton, and also he is an Uber driver. Can you imagine a student booking for an Uber driver and a vice principal picks him up? That'd be that's a pretty embarrassing moment. But but there's a lot of people in situations they're not seeing reality, and reality is he needs to sell both these properties to move on with his life. And he'll keep calling me, and I says, I can't do anything. You only want to sell the one, and you can't. I go, you have no equity there. If you sell the two, you have a chance of saving yourself, but his wife doesn't want to move. I don't even think his wife knows the problem. I don't think she knows, and he's not being forthcoming on all his information, and it's been it's pretty tough. And there's so many people in this situation. They over leverage themselves. and they're hanging on and they're hanging on, hanging on. Sometimes they hang on too late. And so if you're in a situation right now the market is a little softer than usual. But if you're in a tough situation, we're coming up into the new year. Get your house on the market February, March. That's it. And to unload, get rid of the debt. If you're in that tight situation, or refinance and re-amortize, all that kind of stuff, just to get yourself relief from the burden of debt. Because actually next year, 1.8 million homes will be renewing mortgages. So if you're in that situation, and there's a lot of people right now, they have a mortgage rate of over 6%, because they had to renew a couple years ago, and so they're those ones there. There's two things you can do. You can re-amortize it and get a new interest rate, pay the what do you call it, the penalty for closing out the mortgage and then reissuing a new mortgage. There's a penalty to that, and you get another 5 years added to your mortgage, which you don't want to do that, because the key thing is home ownership. You want to own the house, right? You don't want to keep having it. But
you probably have to do the math on it all, like depending on what your interest rate is, what your penalty is going to be, how much are you actually going to save by getting that lower interest rate as opposed to just waiting to when it renews. Yeah.
But like, for instance, this one gentleman, he has, there's so many people in the same boat as him. And so many, a lot of people bought condos. They had to take possession. They can't afford it. They can't even rent it. It's not even covering the cost. They bought these condos for $500,000-$600,000. They're probably putting in, even after renting it, they're probably putting in another $1,000 to $1,500 a month out of their own pocket just to cover the expenses on the condo. And and who knows how long they have to do that? They may end up putting in, let's say $12,000 a year for the next 5 years, maybe longer, until the condo reaches a point where it's in the plus sign for selling it. Because right now, most people that took possession of a condo in the last 12 months, that was a pre-construction build, and now they're coming up for closing. Those people, their condos aren't worth the values of what they bought them for 4 years ago. So they're feeling the pain, and it's going to be money out of their pocket. But I mean, they get the tax deduction out of it, but you still have to put money out of your pocket. And so a lot of people are in trouble like that, and it's tough. I remember the 90s. I was in my 20s, and I remember listening to the news all the time that there was a lot of problems with businesses, real estate, just people losing their houses and stuff like that. It's not as bad now, is because I think just because we are more educated, we're working harder for the banks are working harder for people to keep their homes. They don't want the homes. They don't want to take it. So we're not losing as many houses to the banks as we did in the 90s.
But you have to make those calls, right? Like, you're talking about this gentleman, and it sounds like he's just getting really good advice, but he's unwilling to take it at this point.
Absolutely. Unwilling to take it. And it's going to catch up to him to a point where it's going to be too late. And then his wife's going to realize, why didn't we move? It's like, why didn't you tell me we were in that bad of shape? I mean, but the wife should know, like, I mean, if he's out driving at night, doing Uber, I mean, she should know there's problems happening. So.
Right.
Especially a vice principal, they make about $150,000 a year on a salary, don't they? Like,
maybe
more.
It's not a low-paid position, that's for sure. So that's a serious problem right there. Yeah. So you just mentioned the amortization. I think this really works as we head into our next topic, because U.S. President Donald Trump has been talking about putting out 50-year mortgages. Now, I don't know what the cap is now. Like, how long can we amortize out? And that has been the answer for some people, increasing the amortization of their mortgage. So what is the cap, Rob? And what is this idea of 50-year mortgages? Is it a good idea?
I think it's great, but it's not so good. I think it hurts you. But for the one thing is, in Canada, it's like you can get 25 to 30-year mortgages. So like now the U.S., Donald Trump has floated the idea of introducing the 50-year mortgage as a fix for housing affordability, stretching America's traditional 30-year fixed mortgage to half the century. Now, at a first glance, looking for 50 years sounds like a dream, but renewal stress, predictable payments for life. But experts include that warned that the kind of loan could turn into a financial nightmare. I do believe it. Basically, you're trading lower payments and like a 50-year amortization. You'll never pay your house off, and you're just basically renting your house. And you're banking on the equity growth of inflation to build your equity instead of paying down your mortgage. Now, for instance, they worked it out that a 30-year mortgage at 5.5%. Okay, it's $682,000 in total interest on a medium $817,000 home. So you're paying $682,000 on a 30-year amortization. Now,
just for your interest.
Just for your interest. So if you bought a house for $817,000 and the mortgage is $682,000 at 5.5, your interest is $682,000 on an $817,000 house. Now, at a 50-year amortization, your interest alone is $1.63 million. So you're paying almost $1 million more in interest to have that same mortgage. That's So that's
incredible. Like when you really break those numbers down, Rob, and that is the one thing, I think I remember the first time I got my mortgage statement, it comes at the end of the year around the holidays when you've already spent a lot of money, and then you look and you go, I spent how much on what? Like the interest that you pay.
I know.
It's shocking, right? It's not something people always think about. And so, when you push the amount of time it takes you to pay, then you are just going to be paying more interest.
For sure. Now, they don't like to go too long, because now if they do 50 years, that could, would it generate a lot of competition? Because now, like the millennials and is it Gen Zs or something like that, they're more interested in how much a month it is, not how much it is. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's the older generation is, how much is it? And then they'll figure out what the payments are. But it's reversed now. It's like okay, I could afford $600 a month for the rest of my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like they don't look at that. But I mean, for investors, that's fine. Like, I mean, the lower they can do it, like as an investor, you try to get the 30-year or even longer amortization, because it works, because somebody else is paying your mortgage, and you are banking on you get to write off the mortgage interest too. Like as an investor, you get to write that off. Also, you can probably create cash flow on a monthly basis with that. And so as an investor, it's good. Would it turn the economy around? Would it start boosting people buying? Would it increase housing prices to a point where things get crazy? So, I mean, you have to be very, very careful about that. Like Canada briefly, tried the 40-year amortization before scrapping it in 2008. They tried it and they scrapped it. So the current, market already has like next year we have 1.8 million people that are going to be renewing their mortgages. So, I mean, if we all had 50-year amortizations, people's mortgage rates, definitely payments every month would be reduced. But I do think, I don't think it is a good idea, but I do think it will happen in probably 10 to 20 years from now. You'll start seeing it. It's the only way people will be able to afford to buy a house and have the payments. So instead of renting, they own a piece of real estate, and they just, and they're just going to jump a little bit here and there. Some of them will pay it off fast, but it'll be cheaper than rent. And so, and they want to get people to own real estate.
Right. So positives and minuses to it all, but we love, Rob, when you break it all down for us like that. More Rob Golfi with us here on the Golfi Real Estate Show in just a moment. We're going to talk about Mark Carney's budget and what is in it for the housing market. That's on the way. This is 610 CKTB.
Are you worried about selling your home on time and for the most money? Hi, I'm Rob Golfi. Every year we invest millions of dollars in our advanced marketing system, ensuring your home is seen by tens of thousands of potential buyers. We don't just hope it sells, we make it sell.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and Rob Golfi is with us today with the REMAX Golfi team. Rob, okay, some great conversations there about what could happen in the future. 50-year mortgage, extending that amortization out and how that affects the amount of money that you're going to pay in interest over that time. We did get a budget about 10 days ago or so. Now they do still have to vote on it coming up next week. But part of it did have to, deal with the housing. There's no bigger issue, I think. Well, there are a few bigger issues maybe, but one of the biggest files for our federal and provincial governments right now is taxes and housing and how they can help get us into housing. So what was in the budget that might assist in the issue of housing right now?
So the Carney's for first budget and end of the underused housing tax. They call it the UHT. So Mark Carney's first federal budget unveiled this week is being described as generational shift. Now, for Canada's economy aimed at modernizing in industry and infrastructure and housing policy for real estate, the headline item is the elimination of the underused housing tax starting January 1st, 2025. Well, we're in 2025. So basically, I think Trudeau put that in. And you know what's happening out there is all these politicians and are putting out something to deal with housing. It's nothing. It's been in every newspaper. It's been on every day pretty well in all major newspapers across Canada about the housing crisis. So the government, or the politicians, they have to act on it and say do something. So they're always implementing something. So this underused housing tax. I guess one part of it is they were going to tax people that owned house. If you don't live in this country and you own a house, they're going to tax you 1% of the value of the property. So if you owned $1 million property, you're going to have to pay, on top of your taxes, you're going to have to pay another $10,000. So they try to do that, but it's not enough. I don't know how much there is, but it's not enough it's not deterring anybody. Yes, maybe they deterred some foreign buyers, but it's not a huge percentage of the people that own houses in the country. Now, we had to fill out a form, and like if you own rental properties or anything, if you own any properties outside your personal residence, they were on you like they wanted to know if it's occupied, names of people and everything. It's tough. The city, it's just more paperwork and it's just causing problems. And they're saying that. They were saying that it is causing problems. Like some people have empty houses because eventually they're going to tear it down. It's not livable. So are they going to tax those people too? Like local people. Like if I had a house in, let's say, like in Niagara Falls, and I know it's unlivable, and I know it's going to be torn down and build a new house down the road. The city may make me pay, $5,000 extra a year just because it's empty, even though it's not right. Livable. It's hard to track that, and so it's causing a lot of problems, and people are getting upset. We did get a few people say, "Hey, listen, I got a house. It's crappy, but I gotta rent it out because the government wants to, tax me on this." And
right.
So what do? They'll fill it in, and now they become a slumlord in that house, and then now they got different headaches. You know what I mean? So they're almost better off letting somebody live there, not pay the rent, and it's occupied, even though they weren't collecting rent before, but now the landlord, the tenants are filing grievances against the landlord, even though they're not paying rent because they're not taking care of it, and they're not even supposed to be in there. They're not even supposed to be in there. So it's a catch-22. It's a catch-22 for this underused housing tax, and I think Carney realizing it's more of a pain for a lot of people than it is to tax it.
And it is, you mentioned sort of the city aspect. So it's like there's those two levels, right? You had the federal government who was trying to cramp down. And I think the federal government's perspective was more the foreign ownership. I'm not exactly sure what the cities were trying to do. But do you think with Carney getting rid of the federal portion of, okay, we're going to tax these underused houses, cities might stop doing this? Because this is something Hamilton did recently.
Yes, I hope so, because it is a pain to fill out those forms. And, they send it to you, and if you don't fill it out, they'll tax you anyway. So it's like we got enough paperwork that we have to deal with. and they threaten. They said they're like threatening letters, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't fill it, we're gonna charge you. So you have no choice, and it's just unnecessary paperwork. Look, you're paying taxes on that house regardless, whether it's used or not. And so why are they pressuring people to fill these homes when they're not livable? And it's just making it very, very difficult for a lot of people that have properties that they may tear down, or they may, like, it's hard to gauge.
I'd love to know the actual expense in terms of how much it costs to run these programs versus what it is that they're gaining from the tax of it. Because any kind of bureaucratic program, you've got, there's expense to people actually, following up. Maybe somebody fills out a thing saying there are people living there, and then you're getting somebody snitching saying nobody is living there. You got to follow. There's an expense to all of this.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, we're bogged down already, and cities are losing money, and I don't know what they're doing with the extra money. They're paying off old debt, even though sometimes they're saying, "Hey, we're collecting this to help pay for something else, or pay for more housing," and it's not really working. They're just paying off debt. And I mean, we are taxed like crazy in Canada. It is unbelievable. Like, first, for income tax that we pay, then we pay HST, GST. We pay taxes on everything. If you calculated all the tax that we pay from our paychecks to, like, let's say you make $100,000 a year. Okay, and let's say you're taxed at 40%. So you got $60,000 net. Now, everything from that $60,000 that you purchase. So you got $60,000 net, right? That's after your taxes. Well, now you have to pay taxes on your house, your property taxes. That's another $5,000. So you take $5,000 from your 60. Now you're at $55,000. Now you've got your mortgage, and then you're buying food. There's not much tax on food, but clothing you're taxed on. The gas you're taxed on. If you calculate the amount of tax that we pay as Canadian citizens, it's ridiculous, and we're losing people. We're losing people that are moving away out of this country, and people with money, and it's going to hurt this country. In 10 years from now, we are really going to feel it, and it's going to be tough for us as Canadians. And they have no choice but to tax us even more, because all the good money has left the country, and they'll probably stop that. They'll probably tax the people, saying, if you're taking money out of the country, well, you're going to have to pay us half what you are taking out, and it's just another tax. You know what I mean? People are going to try to get away, and they have to make it easy, but because we're so far deep in debt, the government has no choice. Every time a new government comes in, they're trying to fix what the previous government did, and it just keeps going on and on forever.
Was there anything else you were hoping to see in the federal budget, Rod? I think, not necessarily real estate directly, but one of the things is they are going to get rid of that luxury luxury goods tax. And I know that was good news for some businesses, because, companies that make yachts and things like that were going out of business because no one was going to spend that. So, yeah, is there anything you liked in the budget? Anything else you were hoping to see?
You know what? Just it's kind of hard, because it's such a, like, they bring up so much, but I think they have to do something with the taxes for building, like, new home builds, like the cost, that builders pay to the city for development charges is just expensive, and it's becoming tougher and tougher. Like, it is tough now to build a house, especially the cost of construction material and build a house. I mean, it could, like, there was a bungalow in Niagara-on-the-Lake, decent neighborhood, $2 million, fairly new, but it's just basic materials in there. Nothing, like, not much luxury, and it was $2 million. So
wow,
it's very, very expensive. The resale, if you're buying, like, it's nice to buy a brand new house if you have a lot of money, like, but if resale is definitely more affordable because sometimes you have a finished basement, which it would cost you to finish a basement. But yeah, definitely the budget, they got to do more for the budget, but they can't because they need the money, and we
Yeah.
just have to live with it. We just have to live what they give us, and we have no choice. We could if they elected Pierre Poilievre, would it be different? Maybe no. He's probably would go. They say, okay, sit down. Here's the look at the books, and he's going, oh boy, we got problems here. So,
Right.
so he's going to say we can't change anything. We can do a couple of little things to change to help the Canadians, but they can't do too much because they need the money, and we're just going to keep getting taxed until there's going to be a point where everybody's going to leave, and people are leaving. And I think there was a thing in I can't remember where I read there was a lot of Canadians left. There's got to be stats on that, but it's hard to gauge. But in a year to 2 years from now, we will see more of those stats of Canadians that left the country because of the way the country's run.
All right, interesting stuff. Now, you just mentioned there, the value of it all. And you have brought us some really awesome numbers when it comes to home improvements. I often make this joke, Rob, that being married is just debating with your spouse whether you should renovate or move and then doing neither of those things. So you're going to help us out today with some of the home improvements. So take us into that argument. Should we renovate or should we move? Certain things you renovate in your house are going to add a lot more value, right?
Exactly. Certain things will add more value, but you have to really think twice about moving and think twice about renovating. Sometimes I've seen people where they've decided to renovate and because they wanted, they thought it would solve the problem, how they live. And they end up realizing they should have moved. And there's people that move thinking, wow, the cost of moving, we should have stayed. So one big factor a lot of people think about is a pool. Is it cheaper to buy a house with a pool versus put a pool in yourself? I honestly think it is cheaper to put a pool in yourself.
Really?
Yeah, because the cost, like the cost to move with real estate, when you move, you always change things in the house that you move into. You want to paint it, you want to change this, you want to change that. You end up spending money that you don't realize that you spent, unless the house is completely redone and everything. But
it's also going to be redone to your taste, right? Like that's
yes.
a big part of it. It's like someone could have, and I've seen it before, where it's like a new house and it's painted, and I look at it and go, well, this is a shame because this is not my taste. I would have to paint this all again.
Right. So like for instance, I know someone that just moved from a townhouse, and they bought a house with a pool. That is a strong, good move because you can't put a in-ground pool in a townhouse backyard. So they moved because they have kids, they want to have a pool and a bigger backyard and all that kind of stuff. So that was a good move there. Now, a pool can cost probably right now. You're probably looking at $60,000 to $80,000, depending how elaborate you want to go with an in-ground pool. Now, would it cost you that much to sell your house? Not really. But when you buy a house, so the cost to sell, with all the costs involved with real estate fees, legal and everything, and then the cost to buy, the land transfer tax, the legal fees and everything else like that. The cost to buy, it is cheap. It is a little cheaper, but what happens is most people, when they buy, like I said, they end up doing other things to the house, and it breaks out even. So it depends. It totally depends on how you're living. Now, you can buy a house with a pool, in-ground pool, and the house is more updated than your house. Yes, good move to do that. Bigger house, yes. You got kids, yes. But you have to be really careful. I've seen people put additions onto their house, and they realize, you know what? We're still not happy here. So, and the cost to put an addition on, and then they resell, like let's say it cost them $200,000 to put an addition on. They're not going to get the value back right away on that. Their house is not going to be worth $200,000 more. because they spent $200,000 on an addition. So a lot of people have to be very careful on how much they, what their reasoning is for moving. And it's very important because it could be very costly. Like I do think that if you can renovate, it just depends how big the renovation is. You're ahead of the game instead of selling in some cases.
All right. So more of where to renovate and when to move with Rob. We are chatting with Rob Golfi from the #1 REMAX team, the Golfi team, and he's going to stick around here on 610 CKTB.
I know the importance of hiring the best agents.
I'll take a photo of your house and post it on the World Wide Web.
Next,
our multi-million-dollar marketing system reaches tens of thousands of potential home buyers every day.
Go to robgolfi.com and put the best team to work for you.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and Rob Golfi is with us today. Rob, I love this when you get into numbers with us, and we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of the move versus renovate conversation. So we just talked about pools a little bit. Is it hard to sell pools right now? There's one in my neighborhood. They've been up for sale for a while. I want to say maybe since July. And I thought, oh, geez, the window is sort of passed, right? To buy a house with a pool now that we're in November.
You know what? What happens is the people that are looking to buy a house with a pool, for some reason, those houses don't come up for sale at the time that they're looking.
Right. It's like, we want a pool, and none of the houses for sale have one.
Yeah, none of the houses for sale has one. But we find that the majority of the people that buy houses with pools were not looking for a house with a pool. The majority of them, yeah. The majority. So a lot of times, unless it's a luxury home, like you're looking at a $2+ million house, people kind of expect an in-ground pool of some sort. But usually, I don't put a pool sign on the front lawn when I advertising my client's house, because majority of the people that buy a house with a pool, they weren't looking for it, and because they went in, they go, oh my God, this house has got a pool, and what happens is they fall in love with the house, and then now the partners, the spouses, they're talking with each other. Can we handle living with a pool? Now that's the question, and a lot of times they'll go for it because they never had a pool before, and they're saying, okay, let's just do it. I mean, everybody. So many people have a pool. So those are the people that buy houses with pools that weren't looking for a house with a pool, and they do sell. The values, there's a little bit of an increase in value with a pool, but not that much. Like you could spend $100,000 in the backyard, and your house will be worth almost the same as it was without that pool. And I remember And the last 3 houses I had, I put a pool in each one. And I remember I said to a friend of mine in one of the houses, I said, my house is worth the same as it was without with this pool in it than it was without. I go and it. So, but I did do.
You know it, and you're doing it for the right reasons, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
I did it for the family. I did it for us, for us to enjoy and grow, and for the kids to grow up with a pool. And I put 3 in. Like that's expensive. Like, you know what I mean? Like the next owner that bought the house for me, they benefited it because they didn't have to put that expense in. But every one of those houses that I put a pool in and sold, the value of the home is much greater than now than it was when I put the pool in. So I've always did, like I knew inflation was on my side at the time. But right now, you put a pool into a backyard right now, yeah, you may have to wait a little longer to get your money back on that one, just the way the market is.
Yeah, keep it for not just the kids, but also the grandkids, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I can tell the Golfi real estate team is not listing this house because the house that I was talking about does have that pool sign on the for sale.
Yeah,
so.
And that might scare some people away. That's why it's not good to put that. It's okay to have it in the listing, or you check off the box where it says pool. So when somebody's looking for a house with a pool, they'll find it and they'll see it. But the average person doesn't care about a pool, you may deter them from looking at it, and that person could be the possible buyer that would buy your house, and say, hey, you know what, let's buy the house. It wouldn't be bad to have a pool after all.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I'm kind of the person that could be talked into having a pool, even though I would never look at a house with a pool.
There you
So,
go. There you go.
yeah, I totally get that. Okay, let's talk about some other basement renovations. I'm gonna go basements. Right, often you talk to new house people bought a lot of new houses in the last 20 years. There were a lot of new builds, and often the basements were not finished. Should we finish the basement if we're planning on moving? Is that a good value?
No, finish the basement for yourself, but don't finish it to resell unless you can you got good deals. Sometimes it's nice not to finish a basement because people would like to do it themselves and design it. We have one house that had a basement and they had like 5 bedrooms in the basement. I mean, it was like a rooming house down there, and I said, you know, if you can blow out some of these walls, I think you have a better chance of selling this house because it's like a hotel downstairs, and they're going to do that. We're working with them right now, and it is, you know, and so that floor plan is not going to work for a lot of people with 5 bedrooms in the basement. And
Yeah, we actually have someone who works here. They have, it's a blended family. So between the two of them, they have quite a
Yeah.
lot of kids. So they've had to kind of set up the house like that. But that is a rare situation.
that is a rare situation with that many bedrooms in the basement. So it's better off to, like, the basement. People love to have 1 or 2 bedrooms extra. They love to have a big rec room area. Those are key factors for a basement when people are looking, and a full bathroom. Not just a 2-piece, a full bathroom. So if you're looking at renovating, and you're for yourself to have a bathroom, and you're saying, well, nobody's gonna shower down there. Doesn't matter. Just put a shower, have a full bath down there. Because on the resale end, it's going to benefit you. You may not use it now, but in the resale for an extra couple $1,000, put the shower in, and then you'll do way better on the resale down the road if you put a full bath in the basement.
Okay, what about windows?
Windows are very important. Now they're all vinyl windows, and the windows last a lot longer. But if you're putting new windows in, you're going to get between 55 to 75% of it. So sometimes you may need to put windows in to sell the house, but you're not going to get 100%. So you're going to spend $30,000 on windows, and just so that it looks good, the curb appeal when people come and look at the house. And it's a big expense. So somebody may not buy your house because the windows are like that, and you may have to drop your house $50,000 or more just because of that. So windows, I think, is an important factor, but you're not going to get the full return on your money on the windows.
That's really important, I think, for people to say. But in this market, that could be the difference between someone buying your house and another house, because the other house might not have those upgraded windows. And then people, we're all kind of lazy sometimes. Oh, these ones are already done. I don't have to get them done.
Absolutely. Yeah. People look at that. Houses that are selling right now are the ones that have the most upgrades. They're the ones that are selling.
Okay, what about kitchens? Do we do the kitchen over?
Kitchen's important, but I wouldn't blow your brains out on the kitchen. Be very careful on that. If you're fixing the house up to resell, just be very careful on how much you spend on the kitchen. We had a guy in St. Catharines. He spent so much money on his kitchen in an area of St. Catharines, which was not a good idea. He was a guy from Toronto. He's actually a realtor. And we said, what are you doing? And the appliances that he put in there, I said, you might as well take these appliances out, keep them, and put cheaper appliances. I mean, and he's like, he couldn't believe it, he thought he scored big time when he bought this house, and he put a fortune into it, and it hurt him very much. But be careful, obviously, granite and the countertops, soapstone countertops or whatever. Quartz, yeah. They're people look for those. Nobody wants laminate anymore. Nobody. So yeah, you definitely have to have that. You got to be careful. Sometimes even spending $6,000 on your kitchen, instead of putting a new kitchen in, you get somebody to come in, they paint all your cabinets, do everything, clean it all up. You look like you have an updated, brand new kitchen. And that is the way to go if you're going to do it. Have somebody refurbish that kitchen versus ripping it out and redoing it. And it saves you a lot of the headaches of doing that. And I've seen some great refurbished kitchens. It only costs them between $5,000 and $6,000. And like, nobody wants to paint over oak, right? Oak cabinets, but that's what people want. White kitchens now. They want that. They want colored kitchens. And if you're, and you're like, oh my God, we're going to paint over this oak. Are you kidding me? This oak is expensive. Yes. The 90s, everybody, was, like, especially the Europeans were putting oak kitchens in. They could afford it. They had the money and they had solid doors, but yeah, sometimes you may have to do that. And remember these old century homes where people buy them and the baseboards are all painted and the trim and everything. And then people go in and try to peel the paint off. And I know, I get it. It's the same thing. So now, like white trim seems to be in, and white trim seems to be in, like, I think it'll stay for a long time. It just depends. You get the one person that loves the character of the style of the wood, but white trim, nice painted walls, always makes it's always easy to sell. You just got to, take care of that. Any blemishes, be careful. People look at the blemish all the time. You could have the perfect wall, but you got one little blemish in the corner, and people are looking at that more than the rest of the wall.
All right. What about the flooring? Because you've got carpets in some homes. Do we take the carpets out? Do we get them clean? What should we do with those?
Yeah, carpets are not as popular as they used to be. And definitely engineered hardwood flooring is good. It is expensive. Some people are putting high-end laminate. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it is wood or if it's laminate. Vinyl flooring is good. But I do feel that people do not want carpet as much as they used to. It attracts, a lot of, different things and they're hard to keep clean, and, you always got to vacuum it. Now people have these electronic vacuum cleaners that just go on during the day when you're not home, and if you got, nice clean floors, nice, hard surface floors, people like that. But the flooring, no doubt, it'll give you 70 to 90% of the return, depending how nice it is. Now, when you put flooring in, your trim is the most important after. If your trim is terribly done, you will lose money faster than you'll make money. You can
really?
Like people, hire somebody that knows how to do the corner cuts in the corners. I've seen some really bad trim work. I mean, they you go in and they put these beautiful floors in, and then the trim work is terrible. And
you should do like a social media post, Rob, where you just take pictures of the worst trim you've ever seen. I think people would love that.
You know what? I will next time. The next house I go in, when I see terrible trim, I won't mention which house it is, but I'll say,
no.
This is what you don't do. Like we got people that are do-it-yourself renovators, and I tell them, and I go, I tell them, I said, be careful. I says, be careful. I go, you're going to spend all this money on material. You're going to install it yourself. And then you are going to lose money just because of the fact that it wasn't done right. And there was one on Effingham Road. We went to go see somebody, and he said his contractor knew how to do tiles, knew how to do trim, knew how to build kitchens. He did everything, and he also did the concrete in the basement. And I think I talked about this. The concrete in the basement floor was so bad. I said, you're going to have to do something like this. We didn't take the listing. We didn't want it. He wanted too much money for the house, and we said, the way you built this house, it's terribly done. I go, you had one guy that did everything but wasn't a professional at anything. Like you could tell, like it was just terrible work. And this guy's got a lot of money into this house. And so don't hire your friend that thinks he can do everything. I'm telling you, people hire their friends. Hey, I can do that. And meanwhile, concrete, you can't change once it's dry. And I asked him, I go, what happened here? Oh, he goes, it was a really hot day and the concrete was drying real fast. And the guys that was supposed to help him put the concrete in didn't help him, and he was working by himself. I go, you know what? This is a huge basement. I go, I would not touch this house. I said, me personally, I go, forget about the upstairs, what you did there. I go, as soon as I walked down the stairs, I said, you are not going to get money. He will lose more money on that house just because of the workmanship that he had done on it. Terrible, terrible.
Oh, crazy, really bad. Okay, last one, Rob. What about the landscaping, the front yard?
Landscaping is very important because that's the first thing people see when they pull up. It is important. I always tell them, trim up the flower beds and, cut back the trees, like trim up everything, make it look nice and clean, and, put some, dark mulch on there. Just really just clean it up. Make it, because people, that's the first thing people see it, and, you want them to come into the house. You don't want them to drive by and say, I'm not going there. They don't take care of the front. What are the chances of them taking care of the inside? So the front is always important. So take care of it. Trim your trees down. Make them normal. So many people have overgrown trees and overgrown bushes in the front of their house, and you can't even see anything. Cut them right back.
That's a simple one we can all do. All right. Great advice as always, Rob. This has been so fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Rob Golfi from the #1 REMAX team in Canada, the Golfi team. Give them a call, 905-641-0308. They're super friendly, and they've got great advice, robgolfi.com on the website. That's robgolfi.com. Thanks for listening. This is 610 CKTV.